Okay, let's begin. I am Lanice Antoine Shelley, and I'll be your host through constructive, healing-based conversations designed to illuminate the adoptee, parents, and the adoption curious. We center the topics around community, mentorship, leadership, and healing, so you get a multi-dimensional view that is ultimately empowering. These are the voices who could not speak when they were young. Hey y'all, if you've seen me on Instagram, I'm in my summer glow phase and I am unapologetic about it. My hair is luscious. Fun fact, I didn't start properly treating and doing my own hair until I was a grown adult because like many Black adoptees, no one showed me how to do my own hair. And because I love you all so much, I'm going to share with you my hair secret. I'm always on the lookout for things you'd love and things that will enhance your well-being inside and out. We Unique Cosmetics sent me their Moisture Lock pomade and scalp and hair therapy oil from their Metamorphosis line, and it's so decadent, light, and nourishing, fam. This has become a hair routine staple. It has a soft lemongrass scent that people comment on when I walk by or when they're doing my hair because now I have boho locks. They also sent me a 15% discount link for you to try their products and hair tutorial service. And Unique Cosmetics is Black owned and operated by a mother and daughter duo dedicated to helping the adoptee community. Check out the link in the show notes. And this is for all ages, fam. So tell your friends. So come on, embark on a hair-loving journey with We Unique World. From interactive workshops to premium products, they're all about empowering you to embrace your unique hair journey. Because remember, all hair is good hair, especially when it's healthy. Happy Saturday, fam. How you doing? How is your heart? My spirit is high today. I have a lot of excitement for things that are happening right now, so I feel the current beneath me. Okay. I have to start with an apology because these episodes are so short and you are just getting a small glimpse of these amazing adoptees. I mean, 30 minutes is pretty good. At the time, I thought it was a perfect length, but I'm getting feedback that people want the episodes a little bit longer. I know I love to listen to podcasts while I'm en route, commuting, or doing chores in the morning, and the podcasts I listen to are an hour plus. We'll see and feel it out as we go, but I just want you to know that these episodes are going to get more lengthy, more juicy, and more in depth. So please stay tuned. Okay, what voice are you listening to that informs what you think about your body or even your life? The social medias, they have the largest, strongest, loudest voice right now. Are you listening to what they're throwing? Every now and again, I trim down who I'm following on social media. I make sure that on my personal page, everyone that I follow either inspires me, makes me think, makes me laugh, or just makes me feel good. I'll even remove people from following me. I just click that remove button. There are a plethora of subliminal messaging being sent through TV, social media, commercials, posters, billboards, or packaging. And it's essential we make sure that we're aware of these influences. We need to check in moment by moment on ourselves to make sure we're in alignment. I'm so excited about my guest today because her line of work is exactly what I personally need in my life and focuses on health and alignment. Today, Jill Ashley Hoffman helps me unpack cultural programming and conditioning around relationships and food, learning how food can be medicine and addressing thyroid disorders. Jill is a healing artist, Reiki healer, health coach, thyroid health coach, graphic designer, and #1 best-selling co-author. Jill is here to guide us towards a healthier and holistic path. I'm all in and I'm all about this conversation, y'all. Let's lean in. Hello.
Hi, Lenise. How are you?
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm so excited to be meeting you.
Yeah, me too. It's so great to speak with you. I'm such a fan of your podcast. I really am.
Oh,
I
thank
just
you.
listened to the one that you did with your mom. You're a mom and
My godmother.
your godmother. Yes, your mom
Mhm.
and your godmother. And it was beautiful. I didn't know much about your backstory until that episode. So thank you so much for sharing that. It was
Yeah,
great. I loved it.
absolutely. I figured if I am asking people to be vulnerable and put it out there, I need to do the same.
Yes. It's yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I'm bringing up the questions right now. Let's get to it. I love how healing your page is. And I want to know how you came to be. How did your work blossom out of your story?
Yeah. So I would say that, usually I tell the story, what happened in my early 30s was when I had sort of my official health breakdown. But honestly, I mean, it started way before that. I always had a very sort of dysfunctional relationship to food, as a lot of us do. I would say that I was the baby. My parents used to tell me, "Oh, you held on to your bottle for dear life and never wanted to let go." And at the time, I didn't know what that was about, but I really developed this sort of very dependent relationship on food as a self-soothing coping mechanism. And so in my early, I started dieting when I was like 9, and then I kind of went on this whole roller coaster with my health and my relationship to food. And it was very much related to my body image and my weight. And it wasn't until probably college was kind of when I hit rock bottom with my relationship to food. I had a eating disorder, and then I realized at some point, probably a few years after that, I was like, this is not working. Like whatever I'm doing is not working. So I started to teach myself and learn about health and learn about food as medicine, and became this like almost obsession at some point. And so I became really fascinated with this idea. I remember I found this book called World's Healthiest Foods. I think I was the first one to buy it. It wasn't even on sale yet officially online. And I was just fascinated learning all about food as medicine, and like, wow, food can be your friend. It can be good for you. It doesn't have to be the enemy, which is kind of how I was raised. And so I started using that and applying it to my life. And I felt like I was, I was definitely in a better place. But what I didn't realize is I was still kind of like I was still moving through life with this kind of very masculine energy. Even though I was eating healthier and I was feeling like I was doing everything I needed to do, by the time I got to my early 30s, I had really run my body down. I was really shocked when I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism and adrenal fatigue, because I thought I was like this healthy girl. I thought I had figured it all out. I thought, and I was like, what? Like what's going on here? So it took me for a loop, and because people kind of saw me too as being this, like, I was the one people would go to if they had questions about food and health and all this stuff. And I wasn't formally trained or anything. It was just kind of this, hobby that I had. And so once I got the diagnosis, I really had to kind of take a step back and say, okay, something's obviously not right. Now, of course, I immediately started to think like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Going into that sort of blaming myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the doctor. The doctor really said to me, yeah, your thyroid is not working properly. Your adrenals are like basically flatlined. I'm surprised you're able to walk around right now. And she's like, here's a pill and that's it. And I said, well, there's got to be a better way. I knew enough at that point, and I knew enough about the body and healing that, that for me, medication on its own never felt like the right option or the only option. So when she couldn't give me any other options, I said, okay, well, I need to kind of figure this out on my own. And I didn't know anything about the thyroid. I didn't know anything about the hormones. I didn't know anything about that. So I decided that I was going to actually go back to school to learn so that I could heal myself. And at the time, I was working in a business or in a career field that wasn't really lighting me up anymore. It was really, that was part of the reason why I kind of got burnt out. So I started to think as I started to learn about health and healing, and I went back to health coaching school, I started to just get really lit up by this idea of like being able to like really support people on their healing journey. So that's really how it started. And I started on this path. I became a certified holistic health coach, integrative nutrition coach. And then I wanted to go deeper. I certified in as a thyroid health coach because it was something that was so near and dear to my heart. And I realized as I was moving through my journey that I wasn't alone. There were so many other people having these issues with their thyroid. So I did that and then just started moving down that path. Yeah.
Wow. I actually take adrenal sense. And women's adrenal sense has changed my life because it helps me to have restful sleep. I did not know that I had adrenal fatigue. And as someone who is high functioning, going, you don't really pay attention to the signs of your body deteriorating in a variety of ways. And we forget about these glands that are essentially helping us propel forward. You talk about how you have hypothyroidism, is it?
Yeah. Yes.
So why is that so detrimental? And what were some of the other symptoms that other people might have and may overlook? Hey, I want to share with you something that has changed my life. It's more like my therapist. Why is she so important? Well, because I want to win in this life. I want to break through the carousel of stories I've compiled that hold me back, that keep me from expanding into my full potentiality. Stories of unworthiness, not enoughness, and even stories of questioning why I am here. I also want to stop dumping my unsorted feelings on the people around me and reacting with the same behavioral patterns that keep me stuck. Conversations with my therapist have made me more confident, clearer in my intention, and more centered in my spirit. That is why I am elated that we are sponsored by BetterHelp, where you can, from wherever you happen to be right now, match with a therapist tailored to your exact needs. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. Someone who you can text at any time and schedule online for either a chat, Zoom, or phone call. And if it turns out that your therapist isn't the right fit, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional cost. Visit the link in the show notes, betterhelp.com, when they were young, to get 10% off the first month. You need to click the link in the show notes in order to get the 10% discount. I want to see you win, beloved. Let's do it together. Visit the link, betterhelp.com, when they were young.
Sure. So the thyroid actually is really important because it's actually, even though a lot of people think that when they have these symptoms that the thyroid is the problem, the thyroid is actually a modulator. It actually modulates your immune system. So when we start to experience symptoms that we connect with thyroid imbalance, which there are a lot, we start to think like, oh, something's wrong with my thyroid. I need to go get my thyroid fixed or whatever. But the truth is that the thyroid's job is to actually give you a heads up of deeper issues that are probably going on underneath the surface. So the thyroid is really like the one that's like kind of alerting you that something's wrong. It's sort of the first line defense in some ways because it modulates your immune system. So it's a great, like when people get diagnosed with thyroid, it's not necessarily a bad thing because it's actually kind of giving you a heads up like, hey, something's brewing underneath here. Let's look into it. And it's not really just about the hormones. And this was kind of my learning curve as I was moving through my own healing journey. Is at first I learned that it was all about the thyroid hormones. It's all about managing T4, T3 and all of these things. And those can be important, but they're not the real issue. Mm-hmm. To answer your other question around symptoms, so for me, it was really about fatigue, like real fatigue. And that also had to do with my adrenal issue, which often go hand in hand, thyroid and adrenal. There's like this sort of trifecta of balancing that goes on in the, especially with female hormones and in that world. So often people who have struggle with thyroid issues will also have adrenal like issues as well. They usually go hand in hand. So for me, it was like fatigue. At one point I felt like I couldn't even get out of bed. It was like, no matter how much I slept, I was just so tired. It's like a different kind of tired. It's like a tired where you sort of can't feel like you can't even move your body. Like, it's not just like, oh, I'm tired. It's like, I'm fatigued. It just feels differently. Like weight issues. So a lot of women who struggle with weight gain or resistant weight loss can often can point to thyroid, which can then point to something else. Anxiety, depression, muscle aches. It could also, for me, it also went into like menstrual issues. So like I actually stopped getting my period for about 2 years. And so that was actually what really got me to go to the doctor, because I was like, obviously something's not right. So it can show up in so many different ways. Yeah.
And people can just go to their general practitioner to get tested for any of these things.
They can. I usually recommend people going to if they go to a general practitioner, going to like more of a holistic minded general practitioner, because testing can be a little like limiting with when you go to sort of a more conventional type of doctor. Yeah. So like when I work with people on their thyroid, we're looking at what's optimal versus what's just within the range of what's normal. So there's a difference between normal and optimal. Mm-hmm. And we want to be in the optimal range. Now I don't put a lot of emphasis on testing, because I'm more concerned about how someone feels in their body and using their body as a barometer for what's happening, right? And huge part of the work that I do, actually, Lanice, is on a more broader scale, because thyroid health is a component of what I do, but it's not everything. What I do on a broader sense is I help women rebuild trust with their bodies, because I think this is one of the huge sort of underlying things that keeps us disconnected from having good health and having good vitality, is that we're not taught to how to trust our bodies. And I know that was the deeper healing for me. As I was healing my symptoms, I was starting to go deeper into all the ways that I wasn't in my body, that I was disconnected, that I didn't trust myself, that I didn't believe in myself, all the, early wounds that we experience, cultural programming, all of that stuff plays into all aspects of our physical health. And so for me, and this is what I really focus on with women now, is really helping them rebuild trust with their bodies so that they can, reclaim their health, so that they can, I think we also put a lot of emphasis on authorities telling us what's right and what's wrong about our own bodies. And I'm a big believer that, we all have an intuitive sense, especially women. I mean, we're so powerful. We have so much intuition within us. And just that we've been taught to not really trust ourselves. So that's a huge piece of what I do. So whether it's thyroid, whether it's whatever it is, anytime a woman comes to me and they're experiencing some kind of chronic health issue, there's usually some way in which they're not trusting their bodies. And so we focus on that. And then there's obviously pieces that there's things that we need to learn and ways that we need to change our practices in our daily life, because without changing our life, our health doesn't change. So, but it often starts with your mindset and your energy. Yeah.
I love all of that. And what are some ways in our everyday life that we can start to trust our own bodies and what our bodies are telling us? Because it's so important. And it took me a long time to get to a place where I listen to my body, because you're exactly right. Society conditions, especially women, to listen to every other voice but their own. Yeah. And seek advice on something that they could literally just look within.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not that we don't get support or guidance or consultation, but the way I see it is that we seek that help, and then we always run it through our own filter, right? We run it through our filter of what we know to be true, of our inner knowing. So absolutely. So how can we rebuild trust with our bodies? So I think of that in terms of like attunement. So when we think about attunement is usually spoken in terms of like a parent and a child, how a parent, when a parent is attuned to a child, it means that they're attuned to their emotions, their feelings. They're really present, right? That's kind of what brings attunement to a child, so that they feel sort of loved and seen and heard and mirrored, right? So I take that concept and apply it to our bodies. So if you can imagine like that, your head was your mind, your mind was the parent, and your body is the child. So you sort of bring the same practice of how do I tune to my body as if I was the parent and my body was the child. So it's really about being present. It's really about slowing down and just being present, right? And this can come in so many different ways. Like it could just be taking a few extra moments when you wake up in the morning, and instead of like jumping out of bed, just actually like saying good morning to yourself, saying good morning to your body. I have a practice where I put my hands on my heart and my belly, and I just breathe and I just check in and like, how are you? How are you feeling today? And I just connect to myself that way. And that's just a practice, very simple practice that I do, but it allows me to really prioritize myself first and really connect with my truth first, rather than once our minds start to kind of get into motion, we sort of let go of that, and all of our power goes to like our to-do lists and everything, all the things. So just even starting the day with just connecting to ourselves first, I think is really powerful. And there's other practices too, but that's a simple one.
Absolutely. Because I actually start every day, save today, because it's just been jam-packed and I had an early audition, but I have become more mindful in the mornings to create a ritual of like the first hour is chanting, meditation, journaling, reading, all of those things, just really anchoring myself. And then I check my emails, as enticing as it is to get right to work. As soon as I get out of bed, I make myself slow down in the mornings and slow down in the evenings. And so I am habituating my mind to receive the world differently, and to listen to myself first. What do I need first? Because I find that I get anxious when other people need this and they need me to do this. And I'm constantly throwing myself to other people's needs. And it's so important to check in and say, what do I need in this moment? I need this. And I'm actually going to carve out time for that investigation.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's exactly. And it's there's practices, and then there's like that moment by moment kind of checking in, with ourselves that happens too. And there's so many different ways. Like one of the pieces of one of the, I guess, pillars of my work is around empowered self-care. And what does empowered mean? Empowered means that it's, that you're aligned to it, that it feels good for you. You're doing it from a place of like, I get to give myself this versus I have to do this, or someone told me I have to do this, right? There's just a different energy. And I talk a lot about energy because I believe that there is a practical and energetic solution to every problem. And I think, everything is energy. So for me, it's more about how we're taking action versus the things we're actually doing. It's like the how is more important than the what. So, but that practice of just checking in throughout the day, does this feel in alignment? Does this not feel in alignment? Right? Like where am I out of alignment here? What would be most nourishing for me right now? And making decisions more from that place. And obviously, like in an ideal world, we could always make decisions from that place. That's not necessarily how everyone can go through life, but we get to like, that's the sort of what we're sort of shooting for, Yeah.
So where can people learn more about your work and all of it? Because it's so important.
Thank you. So I have a website, although my website's I'm actually going through a complete rebranding right now, but you can go to my website and it speaks to my thyroid work. It's JillAshleyHoffman.com. And I'm also pretty active on Facebook. So you can find me there at Jill Ashley. I think it's Jill Ashley Hoffman, or Jill Hoffman is my profile name. And I also have recently launched a new YouTube show with a colleague of mine called the Awakened Living Show. It's really all about conscious conversations. And you can find that on YouTube. So that's fun too.
Oh, I'll definitely tune into that. That's right up my alley. I love this sort of thing. I'm all holistic. I'm vegan, plant-based for over 23 years, and I love all of it. So this has been a great conversation for me personally. Hopefully everyone else loves it too, but I'm just like loving this. So here's a question for you, something I ask all of my guests. Where in your life do you think you can apply courage?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So I think for me, I guess all areas, but really, I think speaking up, really being able to speak more of my truth in certain situations. I think it takes courage, especially in the climate that we're in now. And there's, one of the things I didn't mention about the thyroid is that it's energetically connected to the throat chakra. And so the throat chakra is all about your ability to communicate and speak your truth. And a lot of women who struggle with thyroid imbalance tend to feel held back and repressed in their voice, speaking their truth. And so that was a healing. That's been a healing for me as well on an energetic level. So for me, I'm always thinking about how can I be more courageous in how I'm expressing myself? Am I really coming from my truth, or am I editing myself to kind of like, modulate what other people are going to think. I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't right? Which is something we're all kind of programmed to do that. So that's an edge for me always.
Another beautiful episode. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to my guest today. If you liked this episode, the best way to support me and this work is to write an iTunes review, a 5-star review. This helps us reach the top of searches and helps more people to find us. And if you personally want to connect, please reach out on Instagram or Facebook. And I have some great resource material on my website at laniceantoineshelley.com. So go on over there too. Until next we meet, go gently and have courage, my love.